Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Frost Giant, and welcome back to just another random upload that I feel like you guys might enjoy. Now, the last one I did of this was the a Fucus one with the new 13th sign and like the zodiac sign. So some of you seem to enjoy that, so I figured I'd kind of just take a break from what I normally do and talk about something that's current and in the news recently. So I'm gonna talk about the new Marvel trailer for Logan, which if you guys don't know, it's going to be Hugh Jackman's last movie as a Wolverine, or that's supposedly what it's supposed to be for. So I think it actually looks really good. It takes place in the future, and if it's supposed to be based off the comic Old Man Logan. So if you guys haven't read it, I suggest you go see it. Now, am personally a DC Comics fan when it comes to the comic books itself, but when it comes to the movies, I fully back Marvel. Marvel had so long to completely like space out everything. And while DC's shoving a lot of things like in a huge group together, and they're doing it in like such a quick pace that I think they're like rushing it and they're not putting too much time into it, which is why I think their movies aren't doing so well. Like I didn't get to see Batman versus Superman, so I'm a little upset about that. But I did see Suicide Squad from DC, and I thought that was a good movie. Although everyone's making complaint, excuse me, is there's no plot. But after reading the comics, I know there is a plot. It just gets lost because there's so much going on. Like I said, in just a short movie that you have to take in so much, and they go on a lot of tangents, so the plot does get lost. But if you've read the comics of it, then you know it's there. But again, Marvel, I think the Marvel movies are by far better. They're not exactly like the comics, seeing as like the Avengers and X-Men have to be split up, sadly, while in the comics they're all technically one group. But with this, the new Logan movie, it takes place in the future. All the mutants are dead, which, oh, spoilers, 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 spoilers. So, saying this now, so if any of you want to like keep up to date or read the comics or something, you guys can do it. You guys can turn this video off, do whatever. But yeah, spoilers. So let's get into this. So it takes place in the future. All the mutants are dead, and right off the bat, Charles Xavier and Logan or Wolverine are the only ones still alive, or Professor X, if you will, if you guys don't know who Charles Xavier is. But so pretty much it seems like they're the only two mutants alive. The rest of them have been killed off. So then the question is, how are they going to do it? Because in the comics, Wolverine ends up pretty much killing all the X-Men and Old Man Logan because he is put under an illusion where he thinks the mansion's being attacked while it's actually just his other former mutants, and he just slaughters them, which he refuses to draw his claws the whole time, and it completely like messes him up in the mind, like with his mental state and his emotional state. And so that's like kind of a thing. Like if you ever see him, he's like sitting there like shaking, like his whole hands are shaking, and he like doesn't draw his claws. But then you also see another like thing where it is a little girl, and Charles goes like Wolverine asks who's this little girl, and Charles is like, she's much like you, like she's like you, she's a lot like you. So then it comes to the thing like, okay, she's a mutant, and then you see another set of claws. So then the biggest debate I've seen so far on the internet is it going to be excuse me, not X13, X23, which is literally female Wolverine, except instead of having three claws, she has two. But then if you look at the trailer, it seems like there are more claws than that, which makes me wonder, okay, so are they going to end up bringing Lady Deathstrike back? Which, if you don't know who that is, it's the girl who has adamantium like fingernails that can like shoot out because she's seen as like uh, Wolverine's biggest nemesis in the comics. But then you also have to like think, so okay, if she's back, then it's weird because if with Days of Future Past completely throws out the original trilogy of like X-Men, X2, and X-Men: The Final Stand, or Last Stand, excuse me. It's literally right next to me. I have just like all the X-Men movies, and so that kind of throws a few things into it. And then it's just, I mean, it looks really good, but then you also see Logan kind of sitting there in a graveyard, and he's leaned up against a tree while a ceremony goes in the back, which kind of makes me wonder that he's just ashamed to like face everyone, excuse me, to face everyone else there. So then I'm wondering, okay, maybe he did kill off all the mutants by being under a illusion, but then it also makes you wonder in the future in the comics, like the Hulk has taken over, Red Skull's taken over, King or is it? Yeah, I think it's Kingpin has taken over. Like all these villains from different series throughout, like different comic book things have taken over. And you're probably wondering why is the Hulk a villain? Read into the comics. I'm not going to elaborate on how that happened, but like the Hulk's got a whole like clan, I guess if you will, and so that whole clan's taken. My office thing just popped up and just blasted the hell out of my headphones. Sorry about that. But so pretty much like all these like different villains are like taking over the world, and Logan refuses to draw his claws. And so as you see that, I'm not sure how they're gonna do it, like what's going on. As you see the man in the trailer. Also, I'm gonna post a trailer in the description below so you guys can all check it out yourself if you haven't. But he's got the metal hand, and I forget which villain that's supposed to be. So if one of you guys want to elaborate on that and just like comment down below which villain that is and stuff, and if you guys like notice anything else that I'm gonna miss in this, just by all means comment that down below, and then I can have a conversation with you guys down there. But yeah, so for the most part, it looks really good. So it's either going to be X-23, which I hope that's a little girl because she's pretty much the female Wolverine, or it's going to be Lady Deathstrike, and I kind of hope it's not her because, like I said, Days of Future Past completely screwed over the timeline by making it so everything, all these characters that should be dead aren't, but then these characters that shouldn't be dead are, and it just kind of throws a huge like wrench in everything. But so far it looks good. Also, it's not just going to be like a Logan thing. I also want to touch up. Whoa, why is my camera shaking? On just like the Marvel universe in general. So with more towards the X-Men side, I'm not going to worry about the Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers. I can do a video on that later. But yeah, so for the most part, it seems that um, if you guys where do I want to go with this? I'm trying to think how I should start this. Okay, we'll go with Magneto. So if you guys haven't realized so far, I missed Apocalypse if I didn't mention that already, but I've seen snippets. So if you've ever seen Apocalypse, then you get to see uh, Magneto's daughter die. And so when I heard about this, I was thinking that was Polaris, and then I saw like the little snippet of it, and I realized it's Nina. So if you guys don't know, Magneto, so far we've seen four of his kids, and you're thinking we've only seen three because there's shown two in Days of Future Past and Nina. But if you actually like, I think it's an end credit scene or deleted scene, where the littlest girl is bothering her mom, and that's who a lot of people thought was Scarlet Witch for the longest time, and which didn't make sense because why is the twin younger than her older brother? Because Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, if you didn't know from the Avengers movies, they're deemed as the twins. And so the little girl goes, like, is bothering her mom, so she goes, go bug your sister, or older sister is implied. And then she goes, well, she bugs me. And so that implies that you know Scarlet Witch is there, but they don't have, like, a character for her, and she's not really elaborated on anything. So I'm going to assume that the youngest one is going to be Polaris, because when I heard that the a girl dies in Apocalypse, I got really upset. I was like, Polaris is not allowed to die. But then I found out Havoc gets killed, and I was like, okay, that throws another wrench because Havoc and Polaris end up having a romantic thing. But if you've ever watched any of the X-Men comics and or movies, they kind of throw a lot of things out. How Nightcrawler is supposed to be the child of Mystique and Azazel, being as his body's blue and he's got the ability to teleport, but they have no connection whatsoever in the movies. But yeah, so I was a little upset that Havoc died. I kind of wish I saw it, but everyone spoils shit because it's the internet. And then I have friends who tell me this stuff because they're like, "Oh, have you seen Apocalypse? And how do you feel about Havoc dying?" I was like, "I haven't seen Apocalypse. Didn't want Havoc to die, but thanks anyway." But yeah, so there's like all this going on, but I'm kind of glad they've mentioned more of Magneto's kids. I kind of hope that maybe in a future X-Men movie they come into a bigger play because I know Quicksilver definitely has a main event, and Apocalypse, which I still haven't been able to see, and then Scarlet Witch kind of is just left out. Polaris is kind of there for one movie and then sent away. And Nina, who can talk to animals, kind of just gets screwed over by taking an arrow to the chest. And also, if you're wondering who the hell Polaris is seen as Magneto's daughter. Literally has her, or has, yeah, she has her father's ability of controlling metal. And in the Marvel universe, for the longest time, a lot of people didn't like. We all knew that there was a connection, but it wasn't released till like the early 2000s that she was officially Magneto's daughter. And but like it was so obvious, like she worked mainly with the X Factor and the X-Men, and while Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch end up actually taking over their dad's company, while Scarlet Witch kind of hates her father because he like neglected her and like treated her poorly, while Quicksilver just takes over her dad's business with all the super villains and the terrible mutants, if you will. But yeah, so there's that. Also, back to the Logan thing, I forgot. So, a lot of people are talking about Logan's scars. Sorry, I like completely just jumped real quick. But in the new Logan, you see him like putting on clothes, and he's got scars all across his face, all across his back. And a lot of people were wondering, why the hell is this a thing? Why is he not regenerating? So, if you guys didn't realize that Logan is probably he's at least 200 years old or something in that vicinity. He's like in there, but he's not. But so Logan pretty much has the ability to regenerate, but it's as he gets older, it becomes slower because he's still a normal human being, or I will use normal in the lightest sense of the term, where he's still human and he still ages and stuff, and just like his healing, think of his healing ability as an organ. The older you get, the slower your organs work, and so that's his healing ability. So he slowly starts to regen, and also the adamantium is poisonous, so he's got some metal, so he has metal poisoning, and so his body's trying to heal off that, while at the same time keep him from like keep his scars from healing. And then if I remember correctly, in the comics, the Hulk eats him and he regenerates in the Hulk's body and rips out of the Hulk's stomach, killing the Hulk. But I'm not sure how they're gonna like describe how we got so many scars in the uh, movie because you can't really incorporate the Hulk into X-Men due to copyright claims and stuff, which is why the Avengers weren't allowed to use the term mutant. They had to use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and describe them as miracles. But yeah, so there's a lot of copyright claims going back and forth, and there's just a lot happening. So it makes me wonder, how are they going to explain his scars and stuff? Because I know in the comics he also should have he got like a lot of terrible cuts and stuff all over his body that should have killed him, and his body had the hardest time regenerating after that, which is why I think it's scars because his body can't fully regen because of how slow his body's like working now. Because again, he's like 200 years old. His body's slowing down in all different ways. After slaughtering all the mutants, he's got definitely a like I said, mental and emotional state going for him that's corrupt that he can't heal because it's not like a physical wound. So there's so much going on with him, which I feel bad for, but that's how it is in the comics. And so it's just kind of depressing if you think about it. But then, yeah, that's just like why he has all these scars because his body is slowing down. His regenerative capability is slowing down as well, and it just can't keep up with what's going on when you're trying to keep a 200-year-old man alive who has metal poisoning and is literally gone through like thousands of scars, and your body's trying to keep up with everything. It just kind of nips you in the butt. But then it makes you wonder, so if all the mutants are dead, or it says all the mutants are dead, but a few, what's going to happen with everything else? Because you see him draw his claws against some of the bad guys, which again was like going to be the first time he draws it ever since the incident. That's even if they imply it, which I hope they do, because then I'll just bring light to a lot of other situations, and maybe they'll like do a flashback on what's really happened, like they have to do like something in the terms of another person's perspective, probably like Charles and Magneto before Logan ends up like slaughtering everyone because Charles is still around. Not sure what happened to Magneto. Hope they kind of elaborate on that because I know at one point Magneto ends up being one of the rulers, if I remember correctly, and then he ends up like getting killed or dying off, and someone else takes his place, and this new like wasteland of Earth. And then, because in the comics, when Logan draws his claws, he decides that he is going to finally like stop all this like bad stuff from happening, and everything's he's going to be like the hero that everyone needs, although he's really old, and all of his friends are dead. Because also in the comics, so I'm going to start talking about. I'm sorry, I'm talking more about the comic books instead of the movie, but literally there's only been one trailer released, and that trailer is like a minute and 30 seconds, so there's not a whole lot you can do when it comes to that. So I'm just kind of talking about the comics and seeing if how they're going to relate anything, because in the comics you see Hawkeye who's blind at this point, and then he ends up getting killed off with by getting shot at, and Wolverine is also shot at, and he's presumed dead, but obviously his body heals him. But yeah, there's just a lot that goes on in such a short amount of time in the comics. Because if I remember, Old Man Logan is split up into 8 comic books. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's 8 books to it, and it talks about everything. And then also Logan doesn't just like clean up the world by himself. He takes the Hulk's son, or yeah, his son, Bruce Banner Jr. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm having a hard time speaking. I guess there's just a lot going on in my mind right now because the Hulk's clan is pretty much ancestral. Like you see She-Hulk and all these other people, like they're all cousins and whatnot, and they have like all these different uh, mini Hulks walking around. But Bruce Banner Jr. is sitting there, and he just kind of decides, okay, I hate this. Let's help Wolverine clean up the world and get rid of all these supervillains and let's like make the world even better than it once was. So that's pretty much how the comic book is. But then with everything going on in the movie, with literally like nothing shown except a little girl, Charles, Wolverine, and a few villains here and there, and Logan being in the cemetery, you're literally left with nothing. So again, there's just speculation going back and forth. This is me kind of elaborating you guys on what happens in the comics so you guys can get an idea of what might come. But again, because of the Avengers and X-Men shift and how you can't use a lot of characters, it makes you wonder how they're going to play it because again, can't use Hawkeye, can't use the Hulk. Um, I don't like do shoot, there was another character. Like you can't use Red Skull's also in the comics, but you can't use him. Logan also ends up beating the crap out of a ton of people using the Avengers uniforms. Like he cuts someone's head off using the Captain America shield, and then he ends up flying back to his hometown using the Iron Man gear. And then also in the comics, Logan at this point has a family, and his family consists of his wife. And I think he has a daughter or its son or both. I don't know. It's one of the two. Again, it's been a while because I think they came out in 2010 before the Old Man Logan comics. Again, someone quote me like around that time. So it's been a few years. And then, so pretty much at this point, Logan has a family, and when Logan kind of goes his own way, he leaves his family, and then the Hulk clan pretty much kills them, kills his family to like use his family as an example, which is when he gets super mad. He then goes after the Hulk, who decides that like even in his human form, he's like super muscular and strong, and then when he goes into the Hulk form, it's weird because in this one you see him a lot bigger, muscular, stronger, and more powerful than ever in any of the past comics, which is kind of offsetting because he should be a lot older, and I figured he wouldn't be as strong, but he's even more powerful in his older age. But then, yeah, he like fights the Wolverine, kills him, eats him, and then Wolverine shoots out of his stomach. That's pretty much the gist of that. So Wolverine, yeah. So who would win in a fight, Wolverine or the Hulk? Wolverine would kill Hulk. That's the gist of it. So yeah, so there's that one. I don't think there's anything else, but yeah, I had to talk about Magneto's kids because a few people were wondering about that. Like, so Magneto has three kids. He actually has four, which is Quicksilver, which is Petra, which is Quicksilver, or Peter, if you will. That's his American name. Wanda, who is Scarlet Witch. Luna is Polaris, and then there's Nina, who I don't think she actually has a comic book superhero name, but she's just kind of there. And Quicksilver's quick, obviously. Quicksilver. He speeds. Scarlet Witch has control ability to like manipulate other items and other people, and then Polaris has the ability to control metal and who else? Nina can talk to animals. But yeah, it's kind of upsetting because once I found out like Nina was in it, because everyone told me it was Polaris who got killed, which upset me. But I found out it was Nina, that pissed me off even more because Nina's always this like cute innocent girl who can just talk to animals and then she can like tell them to do different things. But it's sad that she literally is at such a young age gets straight up killed off. Like okay, just there she is now she's gone. Like you could have at least like killed his wife or something, but no, you had to like take the girl with you. But yeah, so there's that Magneto thing. That was just like a big thing that's on my mind that a lot of people have been talking about recently. What else? I think that's it with the new Logan stuff. I can make a stuff on the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers if you guys want. Just comment down below because the next Avengers movie is coming out 2017, 2018 probably, one of the two. But they also have to have the Black Panther movie. I think Hawkeye might get his own movie. Ant-Man 2 is gonna have his own movie incorporating Wasp. Anything else who's having their own movie? No, cause they're not gonna do any more with Hulk. Captain America just had his. Iron Man's been done. Thor might. Don't quote me on that. There was like a whole list of things I was looking at, but I don't think Thor does. Um, Doctor Strange is also coming out, but I'm not sure if they're gonna like how they're gonna incorporate that. And also, I'll just say this real quick. So, if you guys don't know that Thanos is like the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers trying to find the Infinity Stones, some people were asking how we can incorporate that. Look into Captain Marvel, and if you don't know who that is, like you're thinking that's like that's only DC. Marvel also has a Captain Marvel. She's a girl. She is really good friends with like the Guardians, and she's also gonna have her own movie giving her background story. And she also works with the Avengers from time to time. So I think that's how I think they're gonna connect the two because they kind of I think at one point they end up coming together to fight Thanos or Thanos. I'm not sure how you pronounce it exactly. It's so say it however you will. I've heard both, but so pretty much that's going to be it. I think they're going to have Captain Marvel end up being the biggest bond between the two, having them come together. I don't think they're gonna like have a giant movie as much as they might like a few characters might interact from time to time, but then it's gonna be probably like a two-part bit where like they start off in like Guardians and then it goes into the Avengers. So I kind of hope that's how it goes because that kind of seems really interesting because that's how I mean in the comics they all work together, but their biggest tie is through Captain Marvel. But yeah, so sorry if this video was a little confusing, guys. I kind of went off a lot of tangents talking. I went from like started with Marvel, but then jumped to DC, and then jumped from different qualities. But that's a why do I keep bumping my camera? Stay. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comment below. If I missed anything or I misspoke or about anything, comment below as well. By all means, I'm ready to hear you guys' input. I like having conversations about this. A lot of my friends don't read the comics, so I can't really have full-fledged conversations. It's more about the movies, and then I can point out how the movies are wrong, and then it's just like, oh wow, thanks for ruining it for me, blah blah blah. But yeah, so I hope you guys do enjoy it. If so, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I only post these videos like 2, 3 weeks. If you guys want me to do it more, by all means, go ahead. I'll probably make another one, like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, or any of the new DC movies, or any other thing, current event that's coming out. So, like any movie or anything just in general. So, by all means, comment down below if you guys want to see me talk about any topic in particular. I'll elaborate on it, put my input in. I'm always curious what you guys have to say. But yeah, with that, I'll catch you all later. Again, leave a like if you enjoyed this, subscribe if you're new, and peace.